Hey guys, I'm sure we're doing pretty good wherever we are, all over the world. We are facing an unprecedented moment in the history of mankind. Lockdown have been imposed all over the world. I would like to take this opportunity to reach out to my fellow African brothers and sisters all across the globe. Yeah, the world is really facing a terrible threat from this coronavirus of a thing. But actually, we as Africans, the black race, is facing a more deadlier threat than the coronavirus. The coronavirus per se may be temporal of a thing, but the threat we are facing as Africans, as black people, as the black race, would be permanent unless we do certain things as a race. Unless we do what any people, any race will do when faced with such a threat. If we look at what is happening around the world, it should be an eye opener. I believe for those who, were still somehow thinking that the world was going to accept the black race as equal being. Well, of course, that would never happen unless we as a people, the black people, the African people, start to do what will earn us respect. Respect is earned by those who deserve it. We have to start doing what will earn us respect. For way too long, we have allowed others to tell our story. For way too long, others have been telling our story. And they end up telling the wrong version of our story. A version that suits their narratives. We have really seen what has been happening. We have observed with our own very eyes the Chinese have erected a museum which to them is portraying the black race as belonging to the animal class. Yeah, we've seen that. Now, beside very few persons, the rest of the black race has been so silent about this issue. We have not got any condemnation from anybody of substance. Besides those who have even tried to, they didn't even condemn. They were just like, trying to pamper the Chinese for degrading us to animals. And let me tell you something, maybe the Europeans, they have some love for animals, but the Chinese don't. To the Chinese, they eat everything that they call animal. Everything, they eat it. So in essence, they have reduced us to meals on their dinner table. If you are still surprised about that, let me tell you something. Of recent, we know what has happened to China. In China, rather. We have seen how they have been treating the Africans, the blacks in China. We have seen the deplorable treatment they have given to us. Still, you haven't heard, or I haven't heard, the black community rallying as a people, as a race, to denounce and demand some sort of an apology from the Chinese. No, everywhere is silence. Everybody seems to be okay with that. Yeah. That's how we have become food to the Chinese. Respect, again, I'll repeat, is earned by those who deserve it. During the 2008 Beijing Olympics, China came under huge criticism from the West because of their human rights records, especially how they were treating the minority groups, the Tibetans and the other minority groups in China. The then France president, Nicolas Sarkozy, advocated for world leaders to boycott the Beijing 2008 Olympics. He advocated. As a matter of fact, he said he was not going to attend the Olympics. Now let me tell you what the Chinese did. The Chinese boycotted Carrefour. Carrefour is a French supermarket chain dotted all over China. Though almost all the employees working in Carrefour are Chinese, over 90% of the products sold in this supermarket, they're made in China. But the Chinese boycotted that supermarket chain in China. Because they wouldn't tolerate anybody to try to impose their narrative upon them. They wouldn't. Now, see what happened. The first leader, Western leader, to land in Beijing for that 2008 Olympics was the same Nicolas Sarkozy. That was the person who said he wasn't going to go there. In fact, he was advocating for the West. Western leaders not to participate. Respect is earned by those who deserve it. It's only in Africa it's only the black race that has sold. We are the only ones that we have sold our values for cheap material things. Cheap material things. There is nothing you can give to Europeans that will make them to trade their values. Neither the Chinese. There is nothing that you can do to them that will make them to trade their values for. It's only the blacks, only Africans who have stood so low that we have traded our values. We don't even know what matters to us because we want to buy the cheap things coming from China. Because we want to possess their cheap goods. We think they are helping us. They're trampling over us, our dignity. Simply because they know we are unable to stand up to defend our race. So we demand respect. Africa, we need to rise up. We need to rise up. Respect is earned by those who deserve it. We need to rise up so we can be respected. We cannot afford to pass to the next generations this kind of Africa, this kind of race, a race that is being trampled upon by even those who ought to be more inferior. Though I don't see any humankind to be inferior or to be superior than the other. But they're trampling on us. We have to stand up. We have to stand up like a people, like a race. African, rise up. Rise up.